All right, so our next lesson or section of this unit, K, is going to be the cotton boom and bust. Hopefully we remember that boom is a super high demand, economic high demand, K, and then bust is the opposite of that, an economic depletion or depression, K. Our objective for this lesson, K, or what we should be able to do and to know will be to describe the cotton industry's boom and bust cycles. So when we get done with this, hopefully we will be experts at that. Our big ideas, okay, or main questions are going to be to describe 2 events that led to the cotton boom in Texas. Number 2, which inventions helped farmers adapt or change to growing cotton in West Texas? And then lastly, what led to the cotton bust in Texas? So we're going to talk about events for the cotton boom, different inventions that came along that are probably still used today, and then also what led to the cotton bust, okay? Our vocabulary words for this part are cotton boll. Yes, that's pronounced just like the football game. The cotton boll, spelt differently. Terraces, textile factories, and tilling, which I will give you on the next slide. Okay, so here's our vocabulary words and their definitions for this section. So a cotton boll, remember, pronounced just like the football game, is the fruit of the cotton plant or what it looks like before it's harvested. So luckily our information, it gives us a really good picture. This is what they look like before they are turned into cotton balls or Q-tips or clothes or whatever else cotton makes. Our next word is terraces, which are just small ditches. Okay, this was a farming method that was used in areas of the state where it doesn't rain very often. Brownie points if you can remember what region that is. And so what it did was it would catch and trap rain and kind of hold it like a reservoir so that the farmers could use it in the dry seasons. Our third vocabulary word is textile factories. Now, you all probably know what a factory is, okay? But textile, okay, that just means cloth or fabrics. So a textile factory is a manufacturing facility that make cloth or clothes, okay? Or any type of cloth, really. And then fourth is tilling, and this is just what the farmers would do, one of the steps they would take to prepare the ground for crops, and I will show you a picture of that, of a machine that they used for that purpose. Okay, here we go. Cotton boom and bust. Cotton was first grown in Texas by Spanish missionaries. The San Antonio missions produced several thousand pounds of cotton every year. Craftsmen at each mission were responsible for twisting cotton fibers into yarn and then weaving yarn into cloth. In 1821, the first Americans arrived with Stephen F. Austin, the founder of Texas, father of Texas, and they founded the colony of Austin between the Brazos and Colorado rivers. They brought their black slaves with them and began growing cotton in East Texas. Growing cotton. Growing cotton was a very time-consuming effort that required a huge labor force. In Texas, cotton was planted from March through May. Before farmers could plant cotton, they sent their slaves to prepare the area by fertilizing the soil and tilling or preparing the ground for the crops. This was done with walking plows that turned over the soil, which you'll see a picture of. One slave dug a hole, another dropped a cotton seed into the hole, and a third covered the hole with dirt. Water was carried by buckets to newly planted seeds, which would usually sprout about 14 days after planting. After sprouting, cotton plants had to be thinned to avoid overcrowding. Once again, this was done by hand with slave labor. Development of the cotton boll, or fruit of the cotton plant, began with a tightly closed bud. The bud soon opened into a cream-colored flower, which fell off after about a day. After the flower faded, the boll was left. The boll contained cotton seeds and fibers. So this is what they would use to get their more cotton seeds to replant it for the next harvest or next year or whatever. Cotton during the Civil War, we're going to do these two sections together since they're both kind of small. So during the Civil War, Confederate troops needed food, not cotton. So most cotton farmers stopped planting cotton and put their slaves to work growing crops of wheat and corn to feed the soldiers. Any cotton that was grown was shipped overseas or exported, and that money was used to purchase supplies for the Confederate Army. The cotton boom, big idea right here. After the Civil War, Texas experienced a cotton boom, much like the cattle boom you've read about. Factories in the East demanded cotton for making clothes, shoes, and other everyday products. Most textile factories or manufacturing facilities that make cloth were located in New England states, where more than 5 million spindles were used to spin cotton fiber into thread. Cotton mills in New England needed almost 300 million pounds of cotton to meet worldwide demand. Development of cottonseed oil contributed to the cotton boom. Made from seeds of the cotton boll, cottonseed oil was used in cooking products, cosmetics, and even roofing materials. Outer coverings of cotton seeds, or hulls, were processed into cattle feed. Because cotton made more money than other crops, some Texan farmers began to grow only cotton. So there's a lot of information right in here that tells us what contributed to the cotton boom. Now our next section is about railroads, but railroads and cotton, for this purpose, they kind of go hand in hand. So during the 1880s, thousands of miles of railroad tracks were laid in Texas and across the United States. Railroads provided a cheap way to ship cotton all over the United States. Cotton farmers from East Texas rushed into West Texas and grabbed up as much inexpensive land as possible. The climate in West Texas, as you guys know, that's where I'm from, was very hot and dry. Farmers had to find a way to grow cotton in these conditions. I wonder how they did that. Cotton farming in West Texas. There is plenty of land in West Texas, but learning to grow cotton in the dry climate was a challenge. Farmers couldn't depend on enough rainfall to water their crops, so many used dry farming methods. They built terraces, one of our vocab words, or small ditches to catch and trap rain when it fell in West Texas. Soil in the Panhandle and some areas of West Texas was rich, but it was hard on the surface. So in 1837, John Deere, I'm sure you guys have all heard that name, a blacksmith in Illinois, designed a plow that broke through hard soil on top and uncovered fertile soil underneath. John Deere's plow made it possible for farmers to grow cotton in dry West Texas. The invention of the windmill, this is big idea number 2. We've already talked about a couple, but here's another one for you. The invention of the windmill was another huge benefit to West Texas farmers. They discovered that strong winds that blew across West Texas plains were excellent sources of energy. Windmills were used to power pumps that forced water out of the ground. This meant that cotton and other crops didn't need to be planted near a river or stream. Good news, because there are very few rivers and streams in that area. And soon cotton farmers were spreading out across the plains of West Texas. The cotton bust, big idea number 3 right here. Texas wasn't the only state supplying the world with cotton. Between 1874 and 1897, cotton production in the United States almost tripled from 3.8 million to 10.9 million bales of cotton. During that time, the price of cotton fell, so the bust right there. Cotton prices were determined by supply and demand. In the beginning of the cotton boom, there was a limited supply of cotton, so farmers got up to 11 cents a pound for their cotton. Once farmers all over the United States started growing cotton, there was a bigger supply than necessary. So this is the depletion or depression right here for the bust. The price of cotton dropped to 6 cents per pound. So from 11 cents to 6 cents. The drop in prices hit Texas hard because the cost of farming cotton was on the rise. Land that once cost $10 per acre now cost over $500 an acre. The Civil War had abolished slavery. Free labor was no longer available, so farmers had to pay their workers. In the 1880s, the same drought suffered by cattle ranchers affected cotton farmers. In addition, cotton farmers dealt with crop-destroying boll weevils, which is this nasty little beetle right there. In addition, cotton farmers dealt with, I already read that. These beetles have a long, curved snout for drilling into cotton and eating the boll center contents. In the 1890s, boll weevils first attacked cotton fields in the Rio Grande Valley and then quickly spread through the rest of Texas, causing millions of dollars in damage. So this little guy is why we spray our crops with pesticides to protect them because of how much damage they can and do cause. Cotton today. Even with these struggles, many farmers in Texas still refuse to grow anything but cotton. In fact, cotton is the leading cash crop in Texas today. So that's really important. This means that of all crops farmed in Texas, cotton earns the most money for the state of Texas. Cotton is grown on 5 million acres from the high plains to the low Rio Grande Valley. Today's cotton farmers are careful to balance supply with demand so that they get the best price for their bales of cotton. A successful cotton growing season can earn billions of dollars for farmers and the state of Texas.